I've got here all the ingredients for my family's Easter bread recipe.
Yeah, and I got all mine right here. Let me see what you got.
No way.
It doesn't matter. You're going down.
There is no way you're going to beat me. I've been doing this since I was little.
Yeah, but you're not going to be doing it at home with the help of your mother and your sister or anybody else.
All right, well, you don't have your wife or your daughter to help you either.
Well, I can call them.
I'll tell Marcus. No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't. I'll make sure Marcus knows.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No way.
Yes way.
No way.
Yes way.
Unbelievable. Sounds like Joe just told Sam that he's not letting her have any more rides.
Oh, no. We're filming a special Easter edition of Cooking with Chef Marcus tonight.
And they're involved?
Yes, we're going to have an Easter bread bake-off between Joe and Sam, and I'm asking some of the cafe people to be some of our judges.
Hang on. That didn't work out so well before with Phil. Remember the latte thing? And I mean, he hasn't been the same since.
Well, that was totally different. There's no caffeine involved in this one, and I'll be making sure that they're not using any weird ingredients. It's great.
Well, you know what? I doubt it, but I'll trust you on it.
Ha! Thank you. And I'm making you mystery judge number 1.
Oh. I don't need to call my wife because I am an excellent baker.
Oh, yeah? You want to make this bake-off a little more interesting?
Oh, you want to bet?
You bet I want to bet. If I win, you have to be my personal chauffeur for a month.
Like I haven't done that before. Okay, and if I win, you have to make all the deliveries to his place for a month.
Remember when paying attention to detail was important to building things that last? At Omega Home Improvements, we believe that your siding deserves that same attention to detail so it too is built to last. We specialize in a foam back insulated panel that features 5 times the energy efficiency and is 4.5 feet longer than other panels used on homes today. We're Omega Home Improvements, doing it right from beginning to end.
At S&T Bank, we've got a new account for people with busy lives. It's called the Preferred Account, and it's full of everything you need and none of what you don't, like free anywhere ATM transactions. So you never have to make a special stop to save a fee. The Preferred Account at S&T Bank. It's your life. We just made it a little easier.
Well, I had to come because I had, just 6 months ago, a total hip replacement. So I needed to come for physical therapy. I took advantage of many of the things that I never thought I would have used to help me recover from my hip replacement. And every single thing I did, each time I came, I noticed great improvements and things that you would think, how would that help you? It was amazing.
Senior Care Plaza is a family-owned long-term care residence that provides a nurturing home and a high-quality care program. If your loved one can no longer care for themselves, it's time to think about Senior Care Plaza. We call it care. You'll call it home. If you've been looking for a high-quality, top-rated personal care home with your specific needs in mind, Senior Care Plaza in McKeesport, Pennsylvania may be for you. Senior Care Plaza.
Marielle, you're doing a great job just kind of filling the place with music and appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. What's your kind of inspiration? Where do you get your inspiration to make this all happen?
My parents were both in music, so I was around music a lot. But I think whenever I found out about who Rich Mullins was when I was about 13, 14, shortly before he died in 97, but he was my big inspiration. Just the way he lived and his compassion for people and his songwriting.
Wow.
Just pretty much everything was.
You know, after just after he passed, the Ragamuffin Band was actually here when I had a diner here. When this was a diner, not a coffee shop.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's very, very cool.
Oh, very cool.
I mean,
yeah.
His music was always, and that must be why your music is the way that it is. It was very down to earth, very dealing with people where they're at, and you've got a great sound into it. Now, who are these guys that are with you?
This is Andrew Flinner and Stephen
Hi,
Russell.
Hi, Steve. Now, Steve, you pastor church, right?
Yes.
And you're both kind of working with worship as well, so that's cool. Well, I'm glad to hear that. And do you ever perform other places as well?
Yeah, we're just starting to play a few shows. We're going to be playing, opening up for the Ragamuffin Band. Actually, they're coming, and so yeah, they're going to be playing at the John McMillan Presbyterian Church.
Excellent.
And so we're very excited that we get to open for them. So
okay, so awesome. Are you ready to do another song?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, what song are you going to do?
Bartimaeus.
Bartimaeus,
Yes.
like blind Bartimaeus.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Marielle and the band.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bartimaeus, begging blind by the side of the street. Tucking your cloak from around your shoulders, right down to your feet. Does that blanket keep you warm on those cold Jericho nights? Could you toss it to the curb if you knew today you would regain your sight? Take courage, stand up, hear his voice. Leave your possessions, run to Jesus. Though they mock you, you know your choice. Did you know he would walk by today? How did you hear him over the crowds? Did you know what he'd say? Or did it surprise you when this voice asked, what do you want me to do? In the midst of all the noise and the crowds trying to silence you, a blind Bartimaeus, no, take courage, stand up, hear his voice. Leave your possessions, run to your Jesus. Though they mock you, you know your choice. Son of David, he shouted, have mercy on me. Call him here. Jesus replied, what do you ask of me? Rabboni, I want to regain my sight. Go, your faith has made you well. Bartimaeus, begging blind, do you choose not to see? Clutching your blanket in the rain, is it your soul's security? Does that blanket keep you cold from the burning of God's holy fire? Will you do as you are told? Toss it aside and ignite with his loving desire. A blind Bartimaeus, now take courage, stand up, hear his voice. Leave your wet blanket, run blind to Jesus. Though they mock you, you know your choice. A blind Bartimaeus, now take courage, stand up,
My special cooking with Chef Marcus is in high gear, and we're having an Easter bread bake contest between Joe and Sam.
I am
Boom.
going to win.
Easter bread is my specialty.
Do you hear that entertaining competition sound? That's what I'm talking about.
I am a rolling pin machine.
Bowling pin, maybe.
That's right. Trash stacking before the competition. Don't act like you're not impressed.
Yeah, all her bread's going to be in the garbage once people start tasting it.
Well, I hope you have plenty of gas money because you're going to be driving me all around town for a month, Mr. Chauffeur.
Can we get this thing started, please?
Yeah, let's get it started. You can't put up, so you'll be shutting up.
Won't get her. Okay, check it out. On your mark, get set, bake. Ooh, my goodness, barely got out of there. These people are serious, man.
Well, you know what? I hear what's going on back there. I just want to let you know I'm going to hold you personally responsible for any baking mishaps or any cleanup that needs to take place back there.
Don't worry. It'll be fine. I clean up, and I cleaned up all the time. I cleaned up before anyway when I did stuff.
Well, I know you do. I just want to make sure that you don't stop now, okay?
Okay, I won't. Can I tell you a secret?
Sure. You know, your secrets are safe with me. That employer-employee confidentiality thing.
Yeah, whatever. Check it out. Me and my grandma already filmed the Easter special edition cooking with Chef Marcus already. I couldn't help seeing them go at it. I couldn't.
Well, you know what? When they find out,
okay,
I want to be there, okay?
Oh, so you want to see their faces too?
No, you know what? I want to be there in case you need rescue.
Oh, okay.
You know, that's the truth. And you know what? Speaking of your grandma, how are things going with your grandma? I hear you're going to church with her.
Yeah. Church definitely got me thinking a lot more. I mean, here it is, Easter, and I haven't really thought about what everything is all about since I was like a kid. So, I mean, it's just really interesting.
Well, I'm glad you're thinking that way. And, you know, if you ever have any questions, I'm here for you.
Is that the employer-employee confidentiality?
Well, you know, he's the employer.
Well, thanks, Tim. I'll really take that into consideration. Well, you know what? I better go check out on them.
You better, you know, keep him in mind. You know, I'm holding you responsible, okay? Okay. Hey, man.
Hey, Tim.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you. How are you?
Hey, have a seat.
Oh,
have a seat.
okay.
Hey, can I get you the regular?
That's
okay.
good.
You know what? I was thinking about the other day. We were in here talking, and you know, we're talking about all this problem with all these guys, and a bunch of young guys that didn't have fathers. Mm-hmm. They've got struggles with poverty. They've got struggles with all these issues, not having the role models and everything. But the challenge is, I mean, that was your life, wasn't it?
That was my story. I was born in Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn, moved to Harlem, lived in a boarding house, just my mother and I. Very difficult circumstances.
There's no father.
At that point, no.
And it was you didn't have a ton of money. Your mom wasn't making $1 million.
No, she was working hard, but not making much money.
And I mean, did your mom push you to go to school? Was there?
My mother was a tremendous influence, spiritually and naturally. She was a hard worker. She was very strict, strict disciplinarian, and drove me, pushed me to excellence. We moved to Harlem, and we lived with some elderly people. I stayed in a room with an older gentleman. We got our first apartment, which was just a one-bedroom apartment, and I slept on a cot in the living room. But with all of that, we went to church. The building that I lived in at that point in time was just overrun with heroin addicts who would actually be out in the hallways shooting dope and nodding out, and a lot of times I'd have to climb over them to get to our apartment. And I was exposed to all of that at 7, 8, 9 years old. Harlem at that time, while it was a great place, it was a lot of problems. It was a lot of crime, a lot of violence and aggression. So I was exposed to all of that. But the thing that was important was family and church. And at that time, even in those conditions, we still had community. We moved to Pittsburgh. In fact, Tim, I didn't have my own room. I was a teenager before I ever had my own bedroom. And in the first apartment that we moved into in Pittsburgh, we didn't have any heat. We had a little space heater in the living room. And my mother at that time, my father, my mom was married at that point, my little baby sister, we would sit in the house with our overcoats on, dressed indoors, just like going outdoors. So it's very difficult.
I mean, those aren't easy times.
No,
I mean,
not at all.
It's not.
Flour?
You used an entire 5-pound bag of flour.
Did not.
Did too. I would have made 5 loaves of Easter bread with all of that.
Could not.
Could too. Why don't you just admit that you have no idea what you're doing and that I win?
Never.
Okay, well, your bread's going to be hard as a brick with all the flour you're using.
Is not.
Okay, you two got to make sure you clean this up, okay?
It's not my mess, it is.
Okay, I'll clean it up. Can we just wait until after my bread's baked?
Mine's already finished baking.
His place, his place, his place.
Do you know that your morning cup of coffee can help clothe, feed, rescue, and care for the poorest of the poor? I know it may seem hard to believe, but it can happen. His Place and Kiva Han Coffee have joined forces to bring a special blend of coffee that will change the world. Hope Coffee is a direct trade coffee, which means that the families of the people who work hard on the coffee farms receive the funds directly from their harvest. In addition, the profits from Hope Coffee go to help rescue children in impoverished countries and bring the message of God's love to people all around the world. For a limited time, for your gift of $37, we'll send you as our thank you a His Place mug and a 12-ounce bag of Hope Coffee. Together, we're changing the world one life at a time through one cup of coffee at a time. Send your gift today.
His place.
My dream is to be a lawyer.
My dream is to be a veterinarian.
I want to be a chef because I love food.
My dream is to be a doctor,
A teacher.
My dream is to be
a ballerina,
a fireman,
an emergency room physician,
football player, science teacher.
My dream is to become a mechanical engineer,
professional skateboarder.
My dream is to
be a nurse,
a shoe designer,
the president of the United States of America.
I have big dreams.
But right now,
I'm just a kid.
I'm just a kid.
Hey, I'm just a kid.
I'm the kid.
Just a kid.
I'm just a kid.
I'm just a kid ready to be adopted.
Ready to be adopted.
I'm just a kid ready to be adopted. For the facts about adopting a child from foster care, contact the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption.
Here's mine, all hot and fresh right out of the oven.
Mine's nicer.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Oh, listen to both of you. It's beautiful. They're beautiful.
Okay, well, mine's going to taste better because I used my great-grandmother's recipe.
Yeah, I got all my ingredients off the internet, but it's 5 stars.
Oh, me and my grandma actually use the recipes that we use, and it's really good. We made a couple loaves.
Wait a minute. You made a couple loaves?
Well, yeah.
Were you taping your Easter edition of Cooking with Chef Marcus with your grandma?
Come on. Come on. You know it was funny seeing you two go at it. Come on.
That's it. Bet's off.
Yeah, it's off, and you can clean the kitchen.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
Avery. Were telling me, I mean, how's that any different than what these young guys go through today?
Well, I think the climate was different. At that point, family was strong.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter what the configuration was, whether it was a single parent or a 2-parent or a grandparent, whatever the story was, you had strong family. And the other thing that was important then versus now is education was so important to us.
Yeah.
It was stressed in your home. I was always a motivated student. And I think that's a big part of the difference today. You don't have the family dynamics that you once had. And education is certainly not as important to many people as it was back in my time.
Yeah. Why is that?
Well, I think that you've had a lot of younger parents having children who themselves weren't matured and responsible enough to have children, but yet they had them. And so they do a very poor job of parenting. And so I think that's the basis or the basics of the problem that we're having in the community today is just the family structure.
So even though for most of your younger life, you didn't have a dad around.
Yes.
Your mom being strong enough kind of held things together for you.
Correct. My mom was, she's just a wonderful woman. And I look at her now and I just thank God for her, because she was always my strength, always pushed me, always motivated me, and wouldn't allow me to go astray, because she would certainly pull me in if it appeared that I was, getting out of line.
I mean, you've got, I'm sure in your congregation, you got to have, single moms that have got young men in their families, and you just kind of push them a little bit to say, listen, you know what, you can be there.
Yeah.
Look, I'm an example.
Definitely, and that's why we do our brother-to-brother ministry, because we want to get those kind of young men to let them know that don't make excuses. You can be successful. You can overcome whatever the odds are. Don't blame. Do what you need to do. Go to school, get your education. Be involved in the church. Stay connected to that part of life, because that's your moral foundation. So there are no excuses as far as I'm concerned. But again, part of my responsibility is to get out there and promote that message that you can make it.
Yeah, it seems, I know it's not just, with these young guys, that are shooting stuff up or walking away or ended up in jail. It's like this, the whole generation, whether
Yes.
they're in the African American community or they're out in the white community or Hispanic community. It's a whole generation of kids that just like.
Well, Tim, they sit up all day and all night playing video games. They're desensitized. They're not picking books up to read or to study. They're not on the computer doing anything constructive or positive. So they don't have much to build on. And it's just kind of tragic, but it's going to take grounded, rooted people who have compassion and a passion to get out there and promote the message of Jesus.
Now, do they give you a hard time when you say this kind of stuff? I mean, they're like, "Oh, come on, you're an old man."
That's part of what's funny, because being called an old man, But I kind of laugh at that. But after a while, it catches on. God has blessed me and made it possible for me to kind of connect with them. So they give me a rough time at the outset, but I stay the course.
Yeah, life is it seems like it's getting tougher and tougher for this every generation to make it and to see something different happen. And it's like when you start messing up, when a boxer starts messing up, when a runner starts messing up, they go back to the basics.
Right.
And it's just the basics. What I'm hearing you say is that the basics of, listen, okay, you don't have a dad. That's not an excuse. You got a mom that's there. She loves you. It's not an excuse. You can make something out of yourself. You get into a book. You stick to school.
Yes.
You do those kind of things. You
basics.
stick to biblical principles.
That's exactly right. Go back to the basics. And it's not rocket science. And a lot of times we're trying to do a lot of outstanding things.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
Tim, how
yeah.
about you judge these loaves of bread?
Well, why don't you guys do that yourself? Wow, this looks good.
Thanks, I know it is.
Wow.
Mine is too. We want somebody impartial to be the judge.
Well, that's good. I'll be glad to do that. But do you guys understand, why the Easter bread? Do you guys haven't?
Not at all.
No.
Well, it's a lot of like Eastern European countries make the Easter bread, and they do it as an idea to remind themselves of the crucifixion and the resurrection. See, Jesus said in John chapter 6, "I'm the bread of life." See, he's everything that we need. Okay, you guys are battling all this stuff. Greg and I were just talking about all these young men that are in need. Well, Jesus is everything we need. And I know that sounds like, oh yeah, Jesus is everything we need. Well, the truth is that bread represented life in the New Testament times. And he also said, when we have communion, that this is my body which is broken for you, bread. Talking about the bread represents everything that was broken. He was wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquities, and by his stripes we're healed. That everything in his body was broken for all of our sin, for all the stuff, all the muck and mire, all the bad stuff, all the horrible things that happened. He did it for us. And so the bread represents that. So that when we're eating this bread, when we're celebrating the whole Easter idea and the Easter bread, as silly as it may seem, it's really all about Jesus and what he's done for us. So when you eat the bread, it's celebrating these times at Easter. It's like, whoa, okay, man, I don't have to carry this guilt or this junk anymore. You know what? Jesus did this all. It's representing Jesus to me. See, and what's really cool, I mean, you did this? Do you realize what you did here? I see the raisins are strategically placed for the head and the nails and the feet and the piercing of the side. I'm sure you did that on purpose.
Hey, what can I say?
That's good. Well, It's good, guys. It's really, really, really good.
Who has
Excuse
the
me,
best
I want
one?
Me.
Well,
Raisins.
you know what? I'll have to taste them both in a little
Oh,
bit.
geez.
Excuse me, I want to get the band going.
You don't want to answer.
Marielle, you guys ready? Okay, ladies, what song are you gonna do?
World Turned Upside Down.
World Turned Upside Down. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Marielle and the band. World Turned Upside Down.
What it's all supposed to be isn't what I see, and I'm slowly turning this around. If I trampled over you on some crusade for a truth, then that truth is trampled down. If I could find a place to stand, steady rock of love inside the hate, peace inside the chaos at hand. And for all that's done to me, I could try to make you see, but you'd probably turn away. And if you didn't understand, maybe we could just forget the day and go out and celebrate instead. Well, maybe that's the answer all along, staring us in the face, asking us for our grace. Maybe on our climb we got it wrong. As we ascend, do we pretend that we love? Staring at the top, as the rat race never stops. The ladder seems to grow, and with every rung we climb, are we high enough this time? When will we really know? And as we look around, seeing all the people we perceive, and the ones above we never seem to reach. Well, maybe that's the answer all along, staring us in the face, asking us for our grace. Maybe on our climb we got it wrong. As we ascend, do we pretend that we love? Well, maybe we're climbing.
All right, let's give it up for Marielle and the band. Yeah. And if you want to hear more about them, go to hisplace.tv and you'll find out more about the band and the concert she was mentioning. If you happen to be in the area, you can come in for that and be there for it. Also, if you want to find out more about Greg, you can go to the website as well, hisplace.tv. Remember, we are always going to be celebrating this Easter season, remembering the reason for the season. So why don't you go to hisplace.tv. We'll see you next time.